We're with Dale again from Affy Projects. We're here at an amazing project of his with just breathtaking views. This is a retrofit home and we're going to go over some of the features of this home, which is actually shooting for passive house air tightness. We've actually landed here on a really windy day, so we're not going to be able to do the test, but we'll be able to see where it is roughly. What can you tell us about this particular retrofit? I mean, it doesn't look like a retrofit, but there's a lot of timber on the outside and it looks stunning.
It started as a kitchen renovation, kitchen and bathroom renovation, and kind of snowballed into a whole entire Enofit retrofit. It was Bessa blockwork below on the ground floor, and they had quite a lot of water inundation issues up on the high side of the block there. So once we sort of got into the project, it kind of unraveled a little bit and started doing a bit of demolition. We could sort of see how bad it was, how many issues there were in the building, and from that point onwards it became pretty obvious that it needed to be a complete retrofit. So we basically deconstructed the whole building. And the first floor was sitting on acros, on about 30 acro props for a fair period of time. Scaled back all the block work and really broke down the whole building completely, and then started again from the ground up, which included also infill slabs, insulated infill slabs to the whole ground floor, insulated retaining walls and fully waterproof retaining walls obviously, and just worked our way back up to the point where now you can't really tell that there was an existing building here at all.
So we've tested Bessa block. We know that it is a very leaky. It's actually air, just passes straight through that material. Yeah. So obviously water will get straight into it as well.
Exactly, and there was no waterproofing on it originally, so it was kind of just pretty poor building practice. I mean, maybe not bad building practice, but indicative of the building practice here in the sort of 60s and 70s. You know, it was kind of like makeshift, just knock things up. It's always been a holiday house, so it hasn't sort of worried the clients too much, but they're using it more and more now and kind of wanted it to be comfortable. We achieved the air tightness on the block work with a combination of XPS and Intello and Proctor wraps. Yeah. So,
so some of the block work stayed?
Yeah. Okay. Some of it, probably about a third of the original block work stayed, and we kind of just integrated it into the existing building and insulated it, made it watertight as best as we possibly could.
And structurally, everything stayed the same?
Yeah, it's actually more or less the same house as it was structurally, and from a form perspective, it's pretty much exactly the same building. It's just that it's all been reclad and re-insulated from the inside out, basically.
But obviously all the windows have been changed. These are massive panes of glass. How did you get these up here?
All crane work. So we're pretty lucky here that we've got a fairly open side at the front of the property. Yep. So we're able to get a 30-ton crane set up in the street there, and we had a shipping container with all the windows in it in the driveway there for a fair while, and just craned everything into place.
And the makeup here, so you've got external and internal wraps?
Yeah, conventional passive house wall build-up. Yeah, combination of Proctor wraps and Proclima wraps, and some XPS in strategic locations where there's block work and concrete and structure. Yeah, and structure. Yeah.
For all passive houses, we need our heat recovery ventilation system.
Yep.
We go over this on all of our videos. We get our fresh air, it's filtered for pollen, good for asthma sufferers, but you get your energy that you're moving out, that you're expelling, put into the new air coming in.
Absolutely.
Here you've got outlets on the floor.
Yeah, well, being a retrofit, it's pretty difficult to get everything, all the services into the roof of the first floor. So using the existing floor cassette, we're able to create some bulkheads. You'll see downstairs there's a couple of strategic bulkheads which we've been able to distribute the HRV throughout the house, just bring it in as floor grills. The less distance the pipe work runs, the better really. Like the less distance you have to distribute that air as well. So if you can keep stuff in the floor, I think it's probably a better solution really.
Now this isn't a warm roof. The air barrier is pretty much flat.
Yeah.
On the underside of the ceiling. So this would have been quite high ceilings and you've had to take away some of the...
No, we only took away 45 mil basically. Just a single batten, just a cavity batten. So air tightness. And
that's why you had to put the ventilation
exactly, yeah. Otherwise, to go in the ceiling here, it would have had to be outside the thermal envelope.
So was downstairs a higher ceiling height?
No, it was still really narrow. So that's why we had to create those bulkheads.
And there's also that really low ceiling in the laundry.
That's obviously there's a lot of the HRV componentry up in there as well.
Is, correct.
Yeah. It was a flat roof, John, so it's pretty typical of that era as well. 50s, 60s, 70s, sort of 1 degree flat roof, leaked notoriously So we actually introduced some purlins to the roof to get it up to 5 degree pitch. Most of the weather-tight layers, the companies won't warrant lower than 5 degrees on their products.
Yeah, of course.
Because they want that runoff, obviously. So yeah, we pushed it up to 5 degrees, which meant basically rebuilding the whole roof. And yeah, but we didn't actually lower the ceilings because the ceilings were already quite low in here. Aside from the ocean, it's a pretty mild climate zone here, really. But I mean, being so close to the ocean, obviously, is such an awesome thermal regulator. You know, the air temperature doesn't really differ much from the ocean. But you obviously get, like today, howling winds, howling southwesterlies, howling southeasterlies. So the house does get buffeted pretty heavily with salt air as well. So that tends to have a pretty detrimental effect on the building elements.
Yeah, one thing that we talk about quite a lot with these poorly built homes that don't have a continuous airtight barrier on the outside, in windy locations you get wind washing. The performance of your insulation is significantly degraded when you don't have that external vapor permeable wrap on the outside.
Absolutely.
So, you know, this home compared to a lot of the others in this area will perform way differently and way more
Absolutely.
efficiently.
I think even last night it was down to like 7 or 8 degrees here, and it didn't get under 20 degrees in the building. And
with no heating.
Yeah,
running.
I mean, the only downside of this building is obviously that you want to utilize these views as much as you possibly can, which they have. All this glass was here originally. It's just been replaced like for like, except for triple glazing instead of single glazing. And the downside of that being that there is way too much thermal gain in this part of the house, so it does get hot in here. There's a bit of an eave, but the client's happy to put up with that for these views as well.
Yeah, of course,
you know,
and so would I.
We don't want to take that away.
Correct. And just, it's amazing the weight in these doors, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just how smooth they slide in. So they're aluminium on the outside and timber on the inside.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So the other challenge we've got here is it's quite a high bell rating here. It's like bell 29. So all of Anglesea is.
Yep.
So all of the exterior construction has to be of a specific bell rated timber, and/or aluminium, steel, you know, obviously bushfire resistant materials.
And you've got a bulkhead here. So this is again for the heat recovery ventilation.
Yeah, and it was already there a little bit as part of the sort of defining the kitchen a little bit. So there's sort of some design intent in there as well. But yeah, it was kind of an obvious place. The split system was there originally. The building kind of evolved as we went. Right. It wasn't a design, the design intent didn't start as a new build to begin with, the complete deconstruction and rebuild.
That's how all amazing things come together. They evolve.
Yeah, so the downside of that is we're left with some elements of come from the old building that we probably not necessarily 100% happy with. Like we would have loved this glass to have gone to the ceiling. We would have probably loved to have not had a split system here and some other little design elements, but unfortunately that's what we were stuck with. The rest of the house doesn't need it. It's totally comfortable. It's really just this room because of the amount of northern exposure and western exposure we've got with all of this glass. Yep. And even though, you know, the solar heat gain coefficient's quite low, you know, down 0.55 on these windows. These are all Frasinger Fensterbau out of Austria. The U value on these is all down around 0.85, I think it is.
You've got 2 outlets here for the HRV?
Yeah, so 2 extraction points there. Just doing the balancing with Joel at Fantech. That's kind of what sort of seemed to work.
It's got an elevator.
There were some people with mobility issues in the family. So the lift was actually put in years and years ago. So we boarded it all up before we started demolition and it's, we just recommissioned it.
I must admit, you can see a bit of a transition here of old and new.
Yeah,
hey?
Well, some of the flooring had to come up because we needed more of the hardwood floors in the kitchen. So we pulled some of this flooring up to use in the kitchen. Yes. And then these rooms, being bedrooms, are going to be carpeted. Yeah. So the carpet goes in tomorrow.
I've got to laugh whenever I see these internal cavity sliders in your sort of mainstream construction. They just leak so much air. But obviously here we're not going to because we've got an air barrier behind all these walls around the perimeter. And this bathroom's come up a tree. Yeah,
again, it was that bathroom was designed and constructed for mobility. Stairs went back in as they were.
Oh, really? Yeah. Existing stairs?
Existing stairs. They were carpeted though. They had carpet over them, so we just pulled all the carpet off and repolished them.
They look brand new.
Yeah, the boys did a really good job on those. It's nice to be able to offer our clients such nice design and architecture, but also passive house at the same time.
So down here you've got your heat recovery ventilation system in this cupboard,
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
but you've also got your hot water system here.
that's right. Yeah.
So your
heat
hot water
recovery's on one
systems,
side, hot water's on the other side.
this sanding is going to be radiating heat to keep the downstairs area a little bit warmer than.
Yeah,
than it
that's
might
right.
have
I
been.
mean, they're pretty well insulated, so they don't lose a lot of heat, but the heat that they do lose, why not have it inside the thermal envelope?
And the slab is insulated.
The slab's fully insulated, yeah. So it was on a strip footing, this house, and it had all infill slabs.
Yeah.
So strip footing up to with the blockwork sitting on it, and then infill slabs up to that. So we actually had machines under here. Like I said, everything was held up. The first floor was held up with acro props, and we have machines in here and pulled all of that existing concrete out, excavated it down further, insulated, and then poured the infill slabs back over the top again.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
huge.
So there's a couple of instances where there's connections of slab with
Yeah.
strip footing and blockwork and that, where there's small linear thermal bridges,
Yeah.
because we couldn't completely alleviate that, but we got like 95% of it out. So
From a bathroom and a kitchen renovation to that, really, it's amazing. Here's that lower ceiling, isn't it?
yeah. So there's a
for
lot
the
of
heat
there's a
recovery.
lot of componentry going on in this area. Being a laundry, you can have down to a 2.1 ceiling, so it's a services area. So the client was happy with this, and it kind of gives it a bit of a cozy feel in
Yeah,
here.
it does. And then we've got a lot of bedrooms down here, don't we?
Yeah, well, we've got a couple of different rooms actually. It's this is a bedroom and a guest bedroom that the client kind of designed with us and developed around particular friends that she has come and stay for certain periods of time. So it's got its own little kind of deck outside that they'll have a nice little table and chair for. Kind of almost can treat it like a little bit of a self-contained room down here.
I had a look at the insulation consistency in a lot of these areas, and it showed an amazing level.
look all right?
Yeah, it looked great. Although in the corners, in the story above, it looked like, I think there was some steel structure
Yeah.
that was going up in those corners.
Unfortunately, when you've got that much glass and that much roof area
Yeah.
in an N3 wind zone,
Yep,
you have to have some steel structure.
you do. But also it's a retrofit as well. I mean, there's
Yeah,
only so
that's
much you
right.
can do.
So we basically portalised the whole end of the building there, like big steel frame up and over the whole way.
Yep.
We put a layer of XPS
Yep.
between,
Yep.
but there's obviously still the cleats connecting back to the existing building. Obviously, if it was a brand new build, you could design that stuff out, but there was only a certain amount you can design out with a retrofit.
But the other thing is that you've also probably made up for it because you've managed to get the level of air tightness here to around about 0.6 instead of the 1 ACH.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, on the preliminary test, the first test at lockup stage, internal lockup stage, I think we had about 0.55. I mean, it wasn't an overly difficult house to get to that level because it is kind of two rectangles, one on top of the other. So that we had that, and the form factor is pretty good. So we had that going for us from the beginning.
So Dale, I've noticed downstairs here you've got quite a few bulkheads. I'm assuming that this has been done because you didn't want to rob the ceiling height?
Yeah, exactly. So this was how we tackled distributing the HRV throughout the house and getting it into that first floor cassette with such limited space in the ceiling and floors. So yeah, we kind of designed some bulkheads integrated some areas for some nice drapes and window furnishings.
Dale,
John?
amazing home, amazing retrofit.
Thanks, mate. Yeah.
I've seen nothing like it. Thank you so much for
Good on
showing
you,
it
mate.
to us
Thank you.
and going through it with us.
Yeah, we've still got a little bit to do. We're just finishing off the landscaping out here and a nice bit of stonework to be done on this corner and stuff.
Yeah.
And yeah, bit of a clean up and then we're out of here.
It'll be breathtaking once the garden's done.